Good day, I am Marcelo Palermo for Epic News. Just imagine for a while, a little while, that you're transported to ancient times, prehistoric times, to a roughed up part of the world. You're walking through the plains. You're not too conscious about what's going to happen. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. You don't know that nature can hit you in the face any given moment and literally your life can end like this. Let's say you make it through the day. When the night comes up, dusk comes, you feel tired. You'll be walking all day long, gathering in order to eat. Even hunting, let's mix it up a little. You're going to sleep. What's going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow is a new day full of opportunities. But you don't know that. You know that you have to survive. Your level of consciousness, your level of conscience is not as evolved as it will be if you will be living in these times. Now let's bring you up from those times and let's put you in this era, in this year, 2020. And from here, with your level of consciousness of a 2020 man, not years old, but a man from 2020, from the 21st century. Let's put you back into that situation of the early man. The days that happened hundreds of thousands, if not, in a case, or some cases, millions of years ago. Well, let's go with the hundreds of thousands. Now you're walking through the plains of a roughed up earth, the known world. And you know that those walking around you don't know any better. They don't have the level of consciousness that you have. They haven't evolved, consciously speaking, to the levels that you have because you are the byproduct of human evolution to the point where you actually have tremendous level of access to knowledge, a level of access to knowledge that they didn't have and they wouldn't have, not even other men, through centuries, through millennia. So now you come back here and you get that shake-up. It's an awakening. The experience was like something that put you through an epiphany. You have a level of consciousness that you can use to change things for the better. That is much of what we all should do in order to see that we are not going to repeat the mistakes of the past, although we're going to keep on making many mistakes and move forward towards a better near future. Not distant future, but near future, because to be honest, we don't really know what is going to happen from here to just 100, 200 years, let alone 500 or 1,000 years. What's going to happen then? How are they going to perceive what we are right now? We're talking about the distant future. But let's see what we can do for the present, for what we will have in a matter of months. Here in the United States of America, being in the same situation as the rest of the world, struggling with the COVID-19 pandemic situation and the subsequent economic harsh situation that developed as a consequence, we are also facing a time of election, an electoral time. So one of the things that you know is that at your level of consciousness, you have the chance to participate in your local, regional, state level, and national elections. I will say, develop a level of consciousness to the point where you can understand that you have the power to change things, that you have the power to speak up, that you have the power to say, well, not only I exist, but I also count. Because existing is not enough. You have to move forward, being part of the change you want for the betterment, the behoovement of our species. That is the human race. Just imagine the conversions of so many ethnicities that had to be put together through millennia, through millions of years, through hundreds of thousands of years, for you to be here, right now. So let me take you now up from that place of stupor in where you were because you got to walk along the early men and fiction. But I'm trying to put you in that situation in where you can shake up your conscience and say, I am at a level of being able to move forward. We as a species have the chance to do that all the time, but sometimes it feels more righteous than ever. And that might be the case right now. We are in a situation in which we're facing a pandemic problem, COVID-19, plus we are in a pivotal year this year because you, me, every single American can actually choose. We have a choice. We can tell, we can say, and people will hear what we have to say, will listen to it, who we want in the White House for the next 4 years. It could be the current administration or a new administration. But one thing that you have to be sure is that whatever is your conviction has to be heard. You have to make that happen. You have to project yourself towards being able to choose and to say who you are. Just imagine. Now let me put you back into the days of the Roman Empire. An empire that had the settings of what humanity will become eventually. Years later, we went through that period of time, and then the Middle Ages came along. In history, we call it the period of the Dark Ages. Eventually, the Renaissance, a period in which Greco-Roman values, art, culture was actually revamped and revitalized, and eventually we hit the modern times. But by modern, well, I don't mean that. We hit easier times. We didn't hit easy times or easier times. We humans always manage to make things more than complicated and raw for ourselves. But we also have a chance now and then to stop the word, step out for a little bit, observe. The way I told you to imaginary do it, just put yourself in another time, a distant, early time of humanity. Then come back and say, well, I've seen from my perspective what can actually be better. You don't have to fear criticism or the chance of having arguments with others that might and will disagree with you. You can have the chance to actually make your point and to have a common cause with even those who disagree or extremely disagree with you. It is the time to do so. It is the time to say, my ideas are going to be projected in a way that can actually help turn things for the better. It doesn't mean that we all have to agree. It means that we have to keep on disagreeing, but have common causes and common points of views that will serve as a general purpose for us to move forward, for humanity's betterment, for us to become better every day. And this is not, again, for the distant future. Remember, we don't know how things are going to be from here to 500 years or 1,000 years. Just imagine how that will be. People studying how we are now. If we project ourselves from here to 1,000 years, for example, just think about people studying the way we were in 2020, how we reacted to things, our sets of beliefs, our credences, our political systems, our ideas of nations. Will this persist and endure through the millennia, through hundreds of years? Who knows? Well, but we have this right now. And what we have to make it the better. We have to make it better, not only better, but we have to make of it the best we can. And the only way to do that is by, well, participating. Thinking that the way of us reasoning and moving forward with consciousness, with the conscience that we have, is not the way they used to do it in the early days of humanity, when to make it through the day, even unknowingly, was for them the way to move forward. How about we make it through, and not only we make it through, but we bring a better tomorrow, one that can be the best ever. For Epic News, this is Marcelo Palermo. Thank you for being with us. Remember, this is information news, the smart, intelligent way. Thank you for watching.